Okay. Processing blocks. There are three types of processing blocks: event blocks, dialogues, and procedures. Now, these are used by keywords. Event ends with the start of next event. So an event basically gets triggered, and the keyword event starts it. It triggers that. Okay. And it is triggered real time. Okay. And there is no sequence in the format or control over the event being triggered. Now, if an appropriate block is implemented in ABAP for the of at runtime, the event block gets executed. Otherwise, the event has no effect. It does not actually crush a program. Conversely, event blocks will not be executed in ABAP program unless the associated event takes place while the program is being. If there is no logical connection, the event doesn't get executed. So types of events are program constructor, reporting, selection screens that we have already seen, that list, and screen events. This can be asked in interview, so you should actually know what types of events can be triggered. Now, program constructor event, what is this? This basically is the load of program. This is triggered just once during execution of program, and the ABAP program is loaded. This applies to all programs except pools, class pools. The statement in this block allows you to initialize the data of this program. So whenever you actually load a program, okay, when it is executed, when it is loaded, it gets triggered. Okay. Reporting events, basically these are the keywords that trigger reporting events like initialization, start of selection, get table, end of selection. Now these are parts of the event keywords. The corresponding event is triggered only when an executed program is running. This is initialization is used to initialize the data, initialize like variables, data variables. Start of selection, this event plays a leading role as standard event. Is used in every program that you'll come across. This means all statements that have not been specifically assigned to another event block. If the code is not part of any coding event block, then by default it is part of start of selection. End of selection is where that start of selection is getting concluded. This is used when logical database is used in a program or to mark the end of data processing. This is the last of the events to be triggered, so it comes last in the events line. Selection screen. At selection screen, the corresponding events are triggered by runtime. When a selection screen is processed in executed programs, module pools, or functions, we'll see function groups ahead in the next lecture. Selection screens can be prepared and user actions evaluated in the event block. So what are user actions? Input and output. Okay. List events. Now, list events are top of page, end of page. You want to format a report, and you can format and align using these event keywords. At line selection, at user command. User again can give an input written command, and that will be triggered when we actually use at user command keyword. The corresponding events are triggered by the runtime in executed programs, module programs, function groups, while a classical list is being generated. Classical list means the old format, the format defaulted and defined by SAP, or if the user performs an action on the displayed list. Screen events. Now, screen events, the keywords are processed before output, process after input, process on help, request, process on value, because these event blocks are defined in the screen flow logic as opposed to the ABAP program. So basically, at the screen level, these are used. The screen flow logic controls the processing of screens in the SAP. So what screens will be shown and what part of the screens will be shown is part of the this event using these keywords. Now, process before output prepares the layout of the screen, and process after input, process on help, and process on value events evaluate the user inputs and outputs. Okay. Dialog modules are implemented in executable programs, module pools or functions groups between module and end module keywords. Like event blocks, dialog modules have no local data area, no parameter interface. So basically, these are just raw events. You have to populate and design it. A data declaration in dialog module is also added to the global data. So it has data declaration, which is separate, but you have to design it. Dialog modules are called from the screen flow logic with module statement. Okay. Procedures have a local data area and can have a parameter interface. We'll see this in very much in detail in the next lecture. They can be called internally from within the SAP program or externally from another ABAP program. That is SC37. Procedures provide reusable software blocks. Now, these procedures can be used in other programs. So these are global procedures. Now, let's go and check our program. Okay, I believe this might get. Okay, we've already saved this, but it might actually sign off. Okay, let's go ahead. So we'll be using tables, LFA1, LFBK, data, internal table, work area, and data variable type system use it. Internal table LFBK, selection screen. Now, this is basically your event getting triggered. Begin of block. Now, this is a block B1, which will have parameters, okay, and language. Selection options. Now, this is basically again a keyword for material number. And basically, we are assigning S Matner, select Matner for work area Matner. And selection screen, at selection screen, this is where at the execution of options, the block B1 will end. Parameters, checkbox, user command check, and data type is character 10. Load of program. Now, this is the event where we are loading the system, use it function. We'll see what this is. Then initialization. After this is loaded, this will be the first data variable that will be populated, and then it will initialize. Initialize means populate that variable. Okay. And it will initialize means first it will load and then fill it. Add selection screen on help request for PMATNA. Now, again, this is a keyword. If subroutine is initial, then end if. So if condition is also given. Add selection screen on value request. Again, event for PMATNA. If subroutine is initial, if it is filled, and if. Add selection screen output loop at screen. If screen name equals this data variable and pcheck is filled, screen active is 0, modify screen, end if, and loop. Okay, so P in V. We'll see what data variable this is. At selection screen on block B1. So we actually made a block for parameters. Select single, record all fields from MAKT into work area where Matna equals. Based on the material number, it will pull all the data from MAKT. If system subroutine is not filled, message invalid material type E, and if. Start of selection, again event, perform, get data. Now this is where we will actually get the data and show its output. Again, it's an event, okay? In program Z subcall, this is a program Z subcall, we'll have to populate it. Form get data. Now over here again, data type, which will pull the date, and the date will be filled with system date. First, we defined it, and then we filled it. Select all records from MAGD into table, where matter is OP matter, and form, get data. So form, and form, event block. Events are called from inside program, cannot call events on our own. Events are internal program. So procedures have a local data area. So that's why these are global and can have a parameter interface. They can be called internally from within the same program or externally. Procedures provides reusable software blocks. Procedures can be written once and stored and called. Reduces repetition, like exit, go up button on SAP screen are called by procedures that get triggered. Now, what are procedures? Subroutines, function module, methods. We'll see all of these. We'll also integrate subroutines in our programs in the next lecture. Subroutines can be implemented between the form and form statements in any ABAP program, except for class pools. They are called by the user using the perform statement. Form, get data. Okay, select again, and form. Form, show output, loop at internal table into work area. Now, work area will actually show, write, work area, field Matner, work area, field Spras, work area, description, and loop and form. Form and form, another event. Function modules can only be defined in function pool type ABAP programs between the function and functions statements. They're called with a call function statement, and the user fills the interface with keyword parameters and therefore must know their names. Now, function and function. Now, this is where the block is triggered. Function blocks are maintained in function pools SC37. Function modules are created in SC37. And we'll trigger that function module ZFM. Will create this function ZFM, local interface, importing, reference input type, integer, exporting, reference result type. This is the format it's given. So result input 1 plus input 2 and function. Okay. In program, after end of selection, place function call module call function. This is the keyword plus the function that we created. Exporting, this is the syntax, exporting input 1, input 2, 3. So input is getting transversed to this function module. It will get processed over here. Okay. And this importing is basically the inside of the function module where it will calculate the result, starting with call and ending with a period of v result. So over here, when we actually use the syntax exporting, it has no full stop, input 1, input 2, importing, and result. At the end of, now this is the whole block. It starts from here, ends here with a full stop after this syntax. Okay. Keep the cursor at end of that. We'll see call function, give function module name, click OK. And this is the program will actually write this program. Okay. And parameters on the right are for function program, parameters on the left for program input. Okay. Methods are part of the procedures since ABAP objects were first introduced. They're defined in the implementation part of the classes between the method and method statements. So method and method actually uses this. Anyways, let's go back. Let's stop our lecture here because we are going through many concepts over here. Okay. And let's from show output. I believe we have, okay. DD74 events. Okay. Events are called from inside the program.
You know what?
Procedures, subroutines, form, get data. loop. Okay. Form get data. We already have this get data. And we need get data form, get data. This form, get data. End of selection, end of selection, start of selection. Form show output. Perform get data. Loop. Selection screen B1 and if start of selection give user perform get data. Perform get data z subcall. End of selection call function. End of selection. Okay. End of selection call function. Get data. Call function. Z demo Jan function module. Exporting input 1, input 2, importing result. Okay. var1, var2, v underscore result. Okay. Pattern. Oh, lost the program. Let's stop over here for today because I guess